Hello, my name is Sam.
I am accounts and finance trainer from UPlus. Today we will cover the topic of charge of GST. Means when the charge of the GST will be rise. We will cover such topic charge of GST in 5 parts. We will cover such topic in 5 parts in which we will discuss all the concept or all the provision of such topic in the detailed form, because this is a very important concept of GST. This is one of the important concept of GST. Proper and the detailed knowledge of such concept is very much important. So we will discuss such concept in detailed form. In part 1, we will discuss the introduction of such topic, the introduction of charge of GST. We will also discuss some important and the relevant definitions, and we will also discuss the applicability of such a provision, and we will also discuss other relevant provisions which are relating to such concepts. So now we will start part 1. Now we will start part 1 of charge of GST. Part 1 of charge of GST. Charge of GST. Charge of GST. Introduction. First, we will discuss the introduction of such topic. Charge of GST. Introduction. Power to levy tax is drawn from the Constitution of India. Power to levy the tax. Power to levy the tax is drawn from the Constitution of India. Constitution of India contain the provision relating to the levy of taxes. Levy of taxes. Levy of taxes. The Goods and Service Tax Act 2017, the introduction of IGST Act, the introduction of IGST Act is also contain the provision in the respect of levy of indirect tax. Levy of indirect tax. To pave way for the introduction of GST 101 means 101 Constitutional Amendment Act 2016 was passed for the introduction of GST Act 2017. 101 Constitutional Amendment Act 2016 was passed. Why the virtue of this act? Why the virtue of this act? These provisions was made. The provisions was made to levy the amount of GST on the supply of goods, on the supply of service, or both in India. Means such act, GST Act, contain the provision of levy of GST on supply of goods, supply of services, or both in the India. In India. Central excise duty, state VAT, and certain states specified tax and the service tax were subsumed into the comprehensive GST. Is that the laws or the acts which are applicable before the introduction of GST, just like excise duty, central excise duty, service tax, state tax, central tax, VAT, and other state specific tax are subsumed into the GST. Now, in the case of indirect taxation, there is a GST. There is a tax which is known as GST. It is contained, the GST contain the provision of taxability about the supply of goods, supply of services or goods. Means in GST, the provision of GST shall be applicable on supply of goods, supply of services or goods. But in the previous income tax law, the when there is any goods, then the provision are different. Means the act is different, and in the case of service, the act is also different. Means in the previous income tax law, there are different taxes. There are different taxes in the respect of goods and in the respect of services. But now, after the introduction of GST, there is only a single tax. There is only a single tax, which is to be known as GST, which is to be known as Goods and Service Tax Act. The very basis for the charge of tax in any taxable status is the taxable event. The tax is charged. The tax is charged by the taxable law, but the charges of the tax means when it will charge. When it will charge, it is depend upon the taxable event. When the applicability of the tax will be applicable, it will be depend upon the taxable event. And according to the law, there are differences in the taxable event. For the example, in the previous law, in the service tax, when the services, when the in the case of service tax, when the service are provided, or when the service are rendered, then it will be considered as taxable event. The taxable event will be different in the case of different acts. So the taxable event, on the basis of taxable event, the liability of GST will be arise. Is that once the taxable event, once the occurrence of the event which triggers levy of tax, is that in the case of GST, when the event, when the such event will be occurred, then the provision of GST will be applicable. Is that the provision of GST for the provision of levy of tax will be applicable. As discussed earlier, the taxable event under the GST is supplied. In our previous classes, we have discussed that in the case of GST, the taxable event is supplied. In the case of GST, the taxable event is supplied. Supply of goods, supply of services, or both. In the case of GST, the taxable event is supplied. Supply of goods, supply of services. CGST, SGST, or UTGST are levied on all intra-state supply of goods, intra-state supply of services. When there is any intra-state supply, is that when there is any supply of goods, supply of services, or both within the state, then CGST and SGST or UTGST will be charged. If there is any interstate, supply of any goods or supply of any service, then IGST will be charged. For the example, we will discuss it by the way of example. Mr. Ram supply some goods. Then the supply is taxable event. The provision of GST will be applicable. Now, Mr. Ram supply some goods to Mr. Shah. Mr. Ram, he is registered in UP state, and Mr. Sham, he is also registered in UP state. In this case, such a type of supply is to be known as intra-state supply. Such type of supply is to be known as intra-state supply. In this case, CGST and SGST will be charged by Mr. Ram from Mr. Shah. When he will supply some goods, then he will issue a tax invoice. In such tax invoice, by such tax invoice, he will charge the amount of such goods as well as the amount of tax. The tax will be CGST and SGST. Next example. Mr. Ram supplies some goods to Mr. Shah. Mr. Ram, he is registered in UP state, but Mr. Sham, he is registered in Maharashtra state. So, so there is the different state. Supplier is in different state, receiver is in different state. In this case, the supply is known as interstate supply. Such supply is to be known as interstate supply. In the case of interstate supply, the IGST will be charged. Is that when Mr. Ram supply the goods to Mr. Shah, he will also invoice, he will also issue a invoice, and in the invoice he will charge the amount of IGST. He will charge the amount of IGST. So in the case of GST, there are two types of supply, interstate supply or intrastate supply. And in the case of GST, the taxable event is supply. The taxable event is supply. The provision relating to the levy and collection of GST and IGST are contained in section 9. The provision relating to the levy of GST and collection of GST, whether it is CGST, whether it is IGST, whether it is UPGST, whether it is CGST, are contained in section 9 of CGST Act and section 5 of IGST Act respectively. Means in the respect of CGST, the provision relating to the collection and levy of CGST are mentioned in section 9 of CGST Act, and in the respect of IGST, section 5 of IGST Act contain all these provisions. So in this topic, we will discuss all the provision of relating to the levy and collection of GST. We will discuss section 9 and section 5 of the GST Act so that we can properly understand the concept of charge of GST. And we will also discuss all other relevant provision and all other rules which are related to the charge of GST. First, we will discuss intra-state supply and interstate supply. What is the interstate supply and what is the intrastate supply? First, intra-state supply. Intra-state supply. As a general rule, where the location of the supplier, and the place of supply of goods or services are in the same state, in the same union territory, then it will be treated as intra-state supply of goods, intra-state supply of service respectively. Is that when the location of supplier, and place of supply, location of supplier and the place of supply both are in the same state, then it will be considered as, or it will be treated as intrastate supply. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is the supplier of goods. Mr. Ram, he is the supplier of goods. He supply some goods to Mr. Shah. He supply some goods to Mr. Shah. Mr. Ram is registered. Mr. Ram, who is the supplier of goods, he is registered in UP state. He is registered in the UP state, and he is located in UP also. Means his place of business from where he supply the goods from the location is UP. Mr. Sham, Mr. Sham, he is the person who has a principal place of business or who is the recipient. He also have or he is also registered under the state of Uttar Pradesh. He is also registered under the state of Uttar Pradesh and he has place of business in Uttar Pradesh. So in this case, Mr. Ram supplied the goods to Mr. Shah in the state of Uttar Pradesh. In such case, the location of supplier means the location of Mr. Ram is Uttar Pradesh and the place of supply is also Uttar Pradesh. So it is to be known as intra-state supply. It is to be known as intra-state supply. Number two, interstate supply. What is the meaning of interstate supply? Where the location of supplier, where the location of supplier and the place of supply both, where the location of supplier and place of supply of any goods, services or both in a two different states. When location of supplier and when the place of supply both are in different locations. Number two, two different union territory, location of supplier in different territory and place of supply in different territory. And number three, the location of supplier is in a state and the place of supply in a territory. Then it will be treated as or it will be considered as interstate supply of goods or interstate supply of service respectively. When the location of the supplier or the place of supply is in different state. When number two, when the location of supplier and place of supply in different union types. Number three, when the location of supplier in a state and the place of supply in a union territory. In such case, it shall be considered as interstate. It will be considered as interstate supply of goods or service respectively. It will be considered as interstate supply of goods and supply of services or both respectively. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is a supplier of goods. He is registered under the state of Uttar Pradesh. He is registered under the state of Uttar Pradesh. Mr. Sham, he is also a registered person. He is registered in Maharashtra. There is any supply of goods which is made by Mr. Ram to Mr. Sham. In this case, such supply is to be considered as interstate supply. In such case, such supply is to be considered as interstate supply because the location of supplier and the place of supply both are in different locations. The location of supplier is in UP and the place of supply is Maharashtra. So both are in different states. In this case, it will be considered as interstate supply. Number two, Mr. Ram. Mr. Ram, he is registered under Delhi. He is registered under the Delhi Union Territory. Mr. Shyam, Mr. Shyam, he is located or he is registered under the Pondicherry. For the example, Pondicherry. In such case, Mr. Ram supplies some goods to Mr. Shyam. Mr. Ram supplied some goods to Mr. Shyam. In this case, it will be considered as interstate supply because the because there are two different union territories. One is Delhi and the second is Pondicherry. So in this case, it will be considered as interstate supply. Interstate supply. Next example, Mr. Ram, he is registered. Mr. Ram, he is registered under Uttar Pradesh. He is registered in the state of Uttar Pradesh. And Mr. Shyam, he is registered in the Delhi Union Territory. In this case, Mr. Ram supplies some goods to Mr. Shyam. Mr. Ram supplies some goods to Mr. Shyam. In this case, a supply is to be known as interstate supply. In such case, the supply is to be known as interstate supply because the place of supply is the place of sorry the place or the location of supplier is the location of supplier is Uttar Pradesh and the place of supply is Delhi. So in this case, it will be considered as interstate supply. It will be considered as interstate supply. So this is the definition of or this is the meaning of interstate supply and the intrastate supply. The knowledge about the interstate supply and the intrastate supply is also very much important for the proper discussion of such concept. So we have discussed the concept or the definition or the meaning of interstate supply and intrastate supply. Now we will discuss some important and relevant definitions. Now we will discuss some important and the relevant definitions and some relevant terms which which will be used by us when we will discuss the concept of charge of GST. So there is a need to understand all these relevant topics or all these relevant terms so that you can properly understand the concept of charge of GST. Number one, central tax. What is the meaning of central tax? Central tax means the central goods and service tax, which is levied under Section 9 of CGST Act 2007. Central tax means the tax, central tax means the central goods and service tax. Central tax means the central goods and service tax which are levied under Section 9, which are levied under Section 9 of CGST Act, which are levied under Section 9 of CGST Act. This is the definition of central tax, central goods and service tax, which is levied, which is levied under Section 9 of CGST Act, under Section 9 of CGST. Integrated tax. What is the meaning of integrated tax? What is the meaning of IGST? Integrated tax means the integrated goods and service tax. Integrated tax means integrated goods and service tax which is levied under the IGST Act. The integrated tax means the integrated goods and service tax which is levied under the integrated goods and service tax act. The tax which is levied under IGST Act will be known as integrated tax. State tax. What is the meaning of state tax? State tax means the tax which is levied, the tax which is levied under any state tax or under any state goods and service tax act. State tax means the tax which is levied under any state goods and service tax act. So this is the definition of state tax. Goods. What is the meaning of goods? What is the meaning of goods? Goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. Goods means every kind. Goods means every kind of movable property other than the money and security, but include auctionable claims, growing crops, grass, and things which attached to or forming part of land, which are agreed to be served, which are agreed to be served before supply or under the contract of supply. Goods means every kind of movable property. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. Is that every kind of movable property. It does not include immovable property. Goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. Means money and security are not goods, but it include auctionable claims just like betting, gambling. These are the auctionable claims. It includes auctionable claims. Means auctionable claims are goods. Auctionable auctionable claims are goods. Growing crop, growing crop are also goods. The crop which are growing on the fields is also goods. Grass and things which is attached to or forming part of land, grass or the things which are attached or which are the forming part of land, which are agreed to be served before supply or under the contract of supply, then it will be considered as goods. Then it will be considered as goods. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is a farmer. Mr. Ram, he has a farm. He has a growing crop, or he has a growing crop of gram. He has a growing crop of gram. Mr. Ram entered Mr. Ram entered into a contract to Mr. Shyam that he will supply such gram to Mr. Shyam at such specific rate. Mr. Ram entered with Mr. Shyam that he will supply such gram to Mr. Shyam when it will when such processing will be complete. So in this case, there is the growing crop, or grass, or or such a such a gram is the forming part of land, and there is any agreement or contract. There is any agreement or there is a contract for supply of such a gram to Mr. Sham before the supply. The agreement is made, then such a gram, then the growing crop of gram is to be considered as goods. So the goods means every kind of movable property other than money and security. Money and security are not goods, but it includes auctionable claim, gambling, betting. These all are auctionable claim, and these are considered as goods. Growing crop, grass, and things which are attached to or forming part of land, which are agreed to be served before the supply or under a contract of supply. So this is the definition of goods. Electronic commerce. What is the meaning of electronic commerce or e-commerce? Electronic commerce means the supply of goods or the supply of services, including digital products over digital and electronic network. E-commerce means E-commerce means the supply of goods or the supply of service or both, which is including digital product over digital and electronic network. For the example, all these are websites which are supplying the goods and which are supplying the services online through the digital or electronic network. So these all are the shopping site will be considered as e-commerce. Next, electronic commerce operator. ECO, electronic commerce operator. Electronic commerce operator means any person who owns, operates, or manage digital or electronic facility or platform for the electronic commerce. ECO means the any person who owns, operate, or manage digital or electronic facility or the platform for the electronic commerce. For the example, Amazon, Myntra, these are the ECU who are who are who are manage, operate or own the digital or electronic facility or the platform, so that the electronic commerce can supply, so that the electronic commerce can supply their goods and supply their services to the person. So these Amazon, these Myntra, these Flipkart, these all are the ECU, electronic commerce operators. They are supplying the services and goods on the behalf of the other person. Now we will discuss the meaning of aggregate turnover. What will be the meaning of aggregate turnover? As per the provision of GST, if the amount of aggregate turnover is more than the threshold limit, then such person is required to be registered under the GST. Then what is the meaning of aggregate turnover? What is the meaning of aggregate turnover? Aggregate turnover means the aggregate value of all taxable supply. Aggregate turnover means the aggregate value of all taxable supply. Aggregate value of all the taxable all the taxable supply, excluding the value of inward supply on which the tax is payable by the person on the reverse charge basis. Means aggregate turnover means aggregate value of all the taxable supply, but the value of inward supply on which the tax is payable by the recipient on the reverse charge basis will not be excluded in the value of aggregate value. So it will be excluded. And exempt supply, exempt supply, export of goods, export of services or both, interstate supply, interstate supplies of persons having the same permanent account number be computed on all India basis, but exclude central tax, state tax, union territory tax, integrated tax and cess. Is that the aggregate amount of turnover means all taxable supply, exempt supply, export goods or export services or both, interstate supply, interstate supply of any goods or supply of any services of any person who is having the same permanent account number. Is that supply between the distinct person or establishment of distinct person be computed on all India basis, but it shall exclude means total aggregate turnover is equal to total supply less the value of inward supply on which the tax is payable by the recipient under the reverse charge plus exempt supply plus export of goods, export of services or both, interstate supply which is made between the distinct person or establishment of distinct person, and it is exclude central tax, state tax, union territory tax and integrated tax and cess. So this is the definition of aggregate turnover in GST. This is the definition of aggregated turnover. Next, custom frontier of India. What is the custom frontier of India? Custom frontier of India means the limit of a custom, the limit of custom area, the limit of custom area. The custom area is the area of custom station or a warehouse, and it is also include any area in which imported goods or exported goods are ordinarily kept before the clearance by the custom authority. Custom frontier or custom frontiers of India means the limits of the custom area. Custom frontier of India means the limits of the custom area. Custom area is a area. Custom area is the area of custom station. Custom area is the area of custom station or warehouse and it is also includes any area, and it is also include any area in which it is also include any area in which imported goods and the imported goods or the exported goods are kept before the clearance from the custom station. For the example, any of the goods which is imported from any other place outside India, before the clearance, are such goods are kept such goods are kept in a place in the custom station. Then such a place where these goods are kept before the clearance by the custom authority, then such area will be known as custom area. Then the such area will be known as custom area. So the custom frontier of India means the limit of the custom area. The limit of the custom area. Non-taxable online recipient. What is the meaning of non-taxable online recipient? Non-taxable online recipient means non-taxable online recipient means any government, local authority, governmental authority, and individual or any other person who is not registered who is not registered and receiving online information and database access or retrieval services in the relation to any purpose other than commerce, industry, or any other business or profession located in taxable territory. Non-taxable online recipient means any government, any local authority, any government authority, any government, any government authority, any local authority, or an individual or any other person who is not registered. Any other person who is not registered under the GST Act and he is receiving and such person receiving such person receiving the online information online information database database access or retrieval services in the relation to any purpose in the relation to the any purpose other than commerce, business, industry, or profession located in taxable territory. Explanation. For the purpose of this clause, for the purpose of this clause, the expression government authority means for the purpose of such a section, for the purpose of such a section, government authority means the government authority means an authority, an authority. Government authority means an authority or a board or any other body. Government authority means an authority or a board or any other body which is set up by an act of parliament or a state legislature. It means an authority or a board. It means a authority or a board or other body which is which is set up by an act of parliament or state legislature or which is established by any government with 90% or more than 90% participation by the way of equity or control to carry out any function interested to a panchayat under article 243G or to a municipality under article 243W of the constitution. So for the purpose of such a provision, the government authority means any authority or a board or any other body which is set up by the act of parliament or state legislature or which is established by any government. with 90% or more than 90% participation by by the way of equity or control to carry out any function which is interested to the panchayat under article 243b, 243g, or to the municipality under the article 243w of the constitution. Now, the next definition is reverse charge. What is the meaning of reverse charge? Reverse charge means the liability to pay tax by the recipient of supply of goods, supply of services, or both. Normally, under the provision of GST, the supplier of the goods is required to pay the amount of tax. But in the reverse charge cases, the liability to pay the amount of tax by the recipient means the recipient is required to pay the amount of tax on the supply of goods, on the supply of services, or both. Instead of supplier of such goods, supplier of services, or both under section 9 subsection 3 and subsection 4, or under section 5 subsection 3 and subsection 4 of IGST Act. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is a GTA service provider. Mr. Ram, he is a GTA service provider. He provides some services to the Shyam Company. He provides some services to the Shyam Company. The Shyam Company is registered under the GST. So the service which is provided by Mr. Ram, GTA service, is covered in reverse charge. Means in this case, the amount of the tax on such service shall be paid by Shyam Company under the reverse charge basis because he is the recipient of such service. He is the recipient of such a service. So in this case, the tax shall be paid by Mr. Shyam and Company to the government under the reverse charge. So this is the definition of reverse charge. This is the definition of reverse charge. Service. What is the meaning of service? What is the meaning of service? Service means anything other than goods. Service means anything other than goods. Money and security. Money and security is also service, but includes activity relating. Sorry. Service means anything other than goods, money, and security. Service means anything other than goods, other than money, and other than security. Is that money and security is neither goods nor service. Money and the security is neither goods nor service, but includes activity. Service includes activities relating to the use of money. The service include the activity which is relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other mode from one form to another form, currency or denomination to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. Instead, service means anything other than goods, money, and security. But the activity relating to the use of money, the activity which are relating to the use of money or its conversion by cash or by any other modes, conversion of money from one form to another form, currency or denomination to another form, currency or denomination for which a separate consideration is charged. For the example, Mr. Ram, he exported some goods and he received some money in dollar. Now he wants to convert such money. Then the conversion, in the case of conversion of such money, the bank will the bank will charge some amount of commission or some conversion charge. So in this case, such a conversion of money, the conversion of money which is made by the bank will be considered as service. It will be considered as a service. So conversion of one money into the another form will be considered as service. Explanation. For the removal of doubt, it is hereby clarified that expression service include facilitation or arrangement transaction into the security. Service include facilitating or arranging transaction in the security. The definition supplier. What is the meaning of supplier? What is the meaning of supplier? Supplier in the relation to any goods or service or both means the person who supplying the said goods or services or both, and it shall also include an agent, who is acting as such on the behalf of such supplier in the relation to the goods or services or both. Supplier means supplier in the relation to any goods, any services or both. Supplier in the relation to any goods, any services or both means a person who supplying such goods or services or both. And it shall also include an agent. The definition of the supplier also include agent who is acting on the behalf of supplier in the respect of in the relation to goods or services or both. For the example, Mr. Ram, he is the supplier of goods, means he supplies some electronic items. Then he will he will be considered as supplier. He appoint a person who will also supply the goods. He will also supply the goods on the behalf of Mr. Ram. So the person who is appointed by Mr. Ram and who will supply on the behalf of Mr. Ram will be considered as agent, and such agent will also be considered as supplier. Mr. Agent will also be considered as supplier. So this is the definition of supplier under the GST. Taxable supply. What is the meaning of taxable supply under the GST? Taxable supply means the supply of goods, supply of service or both. Taxable supply means the supply of goods, supply of service or both, which is liable to tax under the CGST Act. Supply of goods, supply of service or both means which is liable to tax, under the CGST Act, which is liable to tax under the CGST Act. Non-taxable supply. What is the meaning of non-taxable supply? Non-taxable supply means any supply of goods, supply of services or both, which is not liable to tax under the CGST Act and rule and under the IGST Act. Non-taxable supply means a supply of goods, supply of service or both, which is not liable to tax under CGST Act and under IGST tax. IGST Act is that the supply of goods or the supply of service or both, which is not liable to tax under the CGST Act or under the IGST Act, then such supply is to be known as non-taxable supply. Next, taxable person. What is the meaning of taxable person? Taxable person means a person who is registered or liable to be registered under Section 22 or Section 24 or CGST Act. Taxable person means the person who is registered or who is required to be registered under Section 22 or Section 24 of the CGST Act. Section 22, the person who is liable to be registered, and Section 24, the person who are mandatorily liable to be registered under the GST. So the person who are registered or who are required to be registered under the GST will be considered as taxable person. Recipient. What is the meaning of recipient? What is the meaning of recipient under the GST? Recipient of supply of goods, supply of service or both. The recipient in the respect of supply of goods, supply of services or both means. Supply of goods, supply of services or both means. Where a consideration is payable. Where a consideration is payable for the supply of goods, for the supply of services or both. The person who is required to pay such consideration. Where the consideration is required to be payable for the supply of any goods, for the supply of any services or both. Then the person who is liable, to make the payment of such consideration shall be considered as a recipient. For the example, Mr. Ram, Mr. Ram, he is a supplier of goods. He supplies some goods to Mr. Shyam, and Mr. Sham will pay the amount of consideration in the respect of such a supply. In this case, Mr. Ram, he is the in this case, Mr. Sham, he is the person who is liable to make the payment of consideration. Then Mr. Sham will be considered as recipient. Number two, where no consideration is payable. Where no consideration is payable for the supply of goods. Where no consideration is payable for the supply of goods. Then the person to whom, goods are delivered or made available, or to whom possession or the use of goods is given or made available. Where no consideration is payable for the supply of goods, for the supply of service or both. For the supply of goods. Then the person to whom then the person to whom goods are delivered or made available, or to whom possession or the use of goods is given or made available, then such person is to be known as recipient. For the example, Mr. Ram purchased a television from Mr. Sham. Mr. Ram and Mr. Sham both are the very good friends, and Mr. Mr. Ram purchased a television from Mr. Sham. Mr. Ram, in this case, Mr. Ram is not liable to make any payment to Mr. Shah. So in this case, there is no consideration is required to be payable for the supply of goods. There is the supply of goods, but no consideration is required to be payable by Mr. Ram. So the person to whom the goods are delivered means Mr. Sham delivers such a television to Mr. Ram. So in this case, Mr. Ram will be considered as supplier. In this case, Mr. Ram, he will be considered as supplier. Number three, where no consideration is payable for the supply of service. Where no consideration is payable to the supply of service, then the person to whom supply is rendered. For the example, Mr. Ram and Mr. Shah both are the best friends. Mr. Ram has a shop of hairdresser. Means he provides the service of hair cutting and the hair style. Mr. Sham goes to his shop and he takes a hairstyle. In the consideration of this service, there is no need to pay the amount of any charges because they are the best friends. So there is no need to pay any amount of charge. In this case, there is the supply of service, but no consideration is paid. In this case, the person to whom service is rendered means the person to whom service is rendered is that Mr. Shah, to whom the service is rendered, whose hair are cut by the Mr. Ram. So in this case, the Mr. Sham will be considered the recipient because he has received such service. And any reference to the person to whom, any reference to the person to whom a supply is made, and any person or sorry and any reference to the person to whom supply is made shall be constructed as a reference to the recipient of the supply and shall include, and it shall also include an agent who is acting as such on the behalf of recipient in the respect of goods or services or both. Any person on the behalf of another person who receive the supply. For the example, Mr. Ram requests to Mr. Sham that please supply these goods to Mr. Mohan on the behalf of me. So Mr. Mohan, who will receive the goods on the behalf of Mr. Ram, so Mr. Mohan will be considered as a recipient. And the agent who will receive the goods or who will receive the services on the behalf of his principal will also be considered as recipient. He will also be considered as recipient in the respect of supply of in the respect of goods or services or both. So this is the definition of a recipient. This is the definition of recipient under the GST Act. Now we will discuss extent and commencement of GST law. Now we will discuss about the GST law, where it is commenced and the applicability of GST law. Number 1. Central Goods and Service Tax Act 2007. Central Goods and Service Tax Act 2017 extend to whole of India, means CGST Act 2017 is applicable whole of India. It is applicable or it is extend to whole of India. What is the meaning of India? What is the meaning of India? India means number 1, territory of India as referred to in clause 1 of the Constitution. India means territory of India. India means territory of India as referred as referred in article 1 of the Constitution. As referred in article 1 of the Constitution. India means the territory of India as referred in article 1 of the Constitution. India means it's a territorial water. It's a territorial water shaded and subsoil underlining such water. It's a territorial water. It's a territorial water shaded and subsoil underlining such water. Subsoil underlining such water. Continental shelf, exclusive economic zone or any other maritime zone as referred to in the tutorial water, which is referred to in the tutorial water. Continental shelf, exclusive economic zone and other maritime zone act 1976. It's a tutorial water shaped and subsoil underlining such water, subsoiled water, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone or any other maritime zone as referred in the tutorial water, continental shelf, exclusive economic zone and other Maritime Zone Act 97. The airspace above its territory and territorial water. The air space above its territory and territorial water will be considered as India. India means the territory of India. The airspace above its territorial water, and territorial water, sheeped subsoil under lining of such water, continental shelf, e econo- exclusive economic zone, and other maritime zone. These all are the India. These all are the India. Continental shelf will also be considered as India. Territorial water, maritime zone, exclusive economic zones. These all are considered as India. State GST law. State GST law. State GST law of the respective state, union, territory with legislature. State State GST law of the respective state, union, territory, and legislature and legis and legislature, just like Delhi, Pondicherry, Jammu and Kashmir, extend to whole of that state, union, territory. Is that the law of the respective state or the respective territory with the legislature, which is applicable or which is extend to whole of the state or whole of the union territory. Example, Maharashtra GST Act extends to or it is applicable to whole of the state of Maharashtra. So this is the state GST law. Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act. Integrated Goods and Service Tax Act, which is applicable to the whole of India. IGST Act 2007 extend to whole of India. It is applicable to whole of India. Means CGST Act is applicable whole of India. IGST Act, it is applicable whole of India, and SGST Act means state GST law applicable whole of state. Union Territory Goods and Service Tax Act, UTGST Act 2017. UTGST Act 2017 extends to Union Territory. It is applicable to the Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar, Island, Lakshadweep, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and the Dadra and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, La, Laksh, Chandigarh, and other territories. These all are the Union Territory. Is that Union Territory Goods or Service Tax Act 2017 is a tax which is extended to or which is applicable to the Union Territory of Andaman and Nicobar Island, Lakshadweep, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Ladakh, Chandigarh, or any other territory. Is that any other Union Territory without legislature? Union Territory means Union Territory means Union Territory means the territory of number one Ladakh, number one Andaman and Nicobar Island, Lakshadweep, Dadar and Nagar Haveli, and Daman and Diu, Ladakh, Chandigarh, and other territories. These all are the Union Territories. These all are the Union Territories. Explanation. For the purpose of this act, each of the territory which is specified in subclause A to F. For the purpose of this act, each of the territory which is specified in subclause A to F shall be considered to be a separate union territory. It shall be considered as a separate union territory. So, on the basis of such a discussion, we have discussed introduction of charge of GST. Means we have discussed about the taxable event under the GST. We have also discussed what is the interstate supply and intrastate supply. We have also discussed different definition and the important definition, and we have also discussed extendability and the applicability of GST law. So, on the basis of such discussion, we have covered part 1 of charge of GST. There are some other parts which will also contain important and the relevant provision of GST. Kindly consider all the parts so that you can understand the concept of charge of GST properly, and you can apply it. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.